The shuttle descended through the blue haze of the station's atmospheric shield. Inside, Ambassador Marcus Cole sat perfectly still, his hands resting on his knees. He watched the massive structure grow larger through the view. The Galactic Council station was a marvel of engineering. It stretched across space like a silver flower, its petals made of metal and glass. Thousands of ships moved around it like insects around a hive. Cole had studied this station for months. He knew its layout better than the people who lived there. He knew the location of every exit, every maintenance tunnel, every blind spot in its security system. This was not paranoia, this was preparation. A young aide sat across from him. Her name was Lieutenant Sarah Chen, and she was nervous. Cole could see it in the way she kept checking her tablet, reading the same briefing notes over and over again. Sir, she said, the council has approved our landing request. We're expected in the main chamber in 2 hours. Cole nodded but said nothing. Chen looked at him with worried eyes. Ambassador, I have to ask, are you sure about this? The intelligence report suggests the Vorthania are planning something. They don't want humans at this summit. I know, Cole said. His voice was calm and quiet. Then why are we going where? We could request a delay. We could ask for additional security. Cole turned his gray eyes toward her. He was 53 years old, but his face was hard to read. There were lines around his eyes and gray in his short hair. He looked like a tired professor or a businessman who had spent too many years in meetings. Nothing about him suggested danger. Lieutenant, he said, do you know why Earth chose me for this mission? Chen shook her head. Because I'm the message. Before she could ask what he meant, the shuttle touched down. With a gentle bump, the doors opened and the air of the station rushed in. It smelled strange, a mix of chemicals and alien biology that made Chen's nose wrinkle. Cole didn't react at all. They walked down the ramp together. Greeting party waited for them on the landing platform. There were 4 species represented, all wearing the formal robes of council officials. Cole recognized each one from his studies. The tall bird-like creature was a corvette. They were one of the oldest species in the council, known for their wisdom and their careful nature. Behind it stood Tamarinathy, small beings with gray skin and large black eyes. They were the council's administrators, the ones who kept everything running smoothly. But the one who stepped forward to greet them was neither of these. He was a Vorin. Cole had prepared himself for this moment, but seeing the alien in person was still impressive. The Vorthin stood over 8 ft tall. His body was covered in natural armor, plates of bone and scale that had evolved over millions of years. His face was something like a lizard and something like a wolf, with rows of sharp teeth visible even when his mouth was closed. His eyes were yellow and cold. I am Protocol, Master Verthing said. His voice was deep and rough. I am here to escort you to the council chamber. Cole gave a small bow. Thank you for receiving us. I am Ambassador Marcus Cole, representing the United Earth government. Verif looked down at him. The alien's expression was hard to read, but Cole caught something in those yellow eyes. It was contempt. The Vorani saw him as prey, a small, soft creature that had wandered into the wrong place. Follow me, Verith said. He turned and walked away without waiting. Dato Cole followed. Chen walked beside him, her hand close to the ceremonial sidearm. She War, it was mostly for show. The weapon would barely scratch of Wanny's armor. They walked through corridors of shining metal, aliens of every shape and size moved around them. Some stopped to stare at the humans most had never seen. Earth's people before humanity was new to the galactic community, discovered only 15 years ago when their first faster-than-light ship had stumbled into Core Valley space. Since then, Earth had been treated like a curiosity. The Council had sent observers. They had studied human history, human culture, human biology. Their reports had not been flattering. Humans were described as primitive, violent, and short. Their planet was called a death world, a place so dangerous that it should not have produced intelligent life at all. The Council had allowed humans to exist. They had not allowed them to matter. Today, Cole was here to change that. Earth wanted a seat at the table. They wanted to be recognized as equals, not as pets or curiosities. The Council had agreed to hear their request, but Cole knew this was a trap. The Vorani controlled the Council through fear. They had done so for 3,000 years. Any species that challenged their position was crushed. Earth was about to challenge their position. They reached the Council chamber. It was a massive circular room with seats rising up in tiers around a central platform. Representatives from 12 species sat in their designated sections. At the highest point on a throne of black metal sat High Lord Kha'Zix of the Vorthani. Kha'Zix was old for his kind, nearly 200 years. His scales had darkened with age, and scars covered his face and arms. He was a warrior who had killed hundreds of enemies in personal combat. He was also the most powerful being in the galaxy. He looked down at Cole with open hatred. The human arrives, Kha'Zix announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. Come forward, little creature, let us hear your request. Cole walked to the center platform. Chin tried to follow, but Varith blocked her path with one massive arm. She looked at Cole with panic in her eyes. He gave her a small nod, telling her to stay calm. Then he faced the Council alone. High Lord Kha'Zix, Cole said, honored members of the Galactic Council, I thank you for this opportunity to speak. We did not invite you to speak, Kha'Zix said. We invited you to kneel. A murmur ran through the chamber. Cole saw the other delegates watching with interest. Some looked uncomfortable, others were smiling. I do not understand, Cole said. Kha'Zix leaned forward on his throne. All lesser species must kneel before the Council when requesting membership. This is tradition, this is law. You will kneel, human, or you will leave. Cole stood very still. He understood now. This was the first test. If he knelt, humanity would forever be seen as a submissive species, one that could be pushed around and ignored. If he refused, he would give Kha'Zix an excuse for violence. He had prepared for this moment. He had known it would come. High Lord, Cole said, I mean no disrespect to your traditions, but I must inform you that humans do not kneel. The chamber went silent. Kha'Zix's yellow eyes widened. What did you say? Humans do not kneel. Cole repeated, it is not in our nature. We stand when we face those we respect. We stand when we face those we fear. We stand when we face death itself. This is our way. Kha'Zix rose from his throne. He was enormous, a mountain of muscle and armor. When he spoke, his voice shook the air. You dare, you come to our station, you ask for our recognition, and you dare to refuse our traditions. I Refuse nothing, Cole said. I simply tell you who we are. Humanity did not crawl through millions of years of evolution on a death world only to kneel before strangers. We have earned our place in this galaxy through suffering and survival. We ask only that you recognize what we have already proven. Kicks laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. Proven? What have humans proven? You have existed for a heartbeat. You have no empire, no fleet, no power. You are nothing. Cole did not respond to the insult. He simply waited. Keswick turned to the other delegates. You see what humanity sends us? A fool in a suit, a creature with no teeth and no claws who thinks he can stand before the Vorthan and demand respect. He looked back at Cole. His eyes had changed. The contempt was still there, but now there was something else. It was the look of a predator about to strike. I think, Keswick said slowly, that humanity needs a lesson in respect. He made a small gesture with one clawed hand around the chamber. 6th guards stepped forward. They had been standing in the shadows, nearly invisible in their dark armor. Now they moved toward the central platform, forming a circle around Cole. Chen shouted something from the edge of the chamber. Varith grabbed her arm, holding her back. Cole looked at the guards surrounding him. Each one was a warrior trained from birth to kill. Their claws could tear through metal. Their teeth could crush bone. Any one of them could kill a normal human in seconds. Cole was not a normal human. He loosened his collar. He took a slow, deep breath. Then he looked up at Keswick and spoke in that same calm, quiet voice. High Lord, I ask you to reconsider this action. I did not come here for violence. Keswick smiled, showing all of his teeth, but violence found you anyway, little human. Guards, teach this creature to kneel. The first guard moved. He was fast, incredibly fast. His clawed hand shot toward Cole's throat, a blow meant to grab and crush. Cole was faster. He stepped inside the guard's reach, his hand striking out in a precise motion. He hit a point just below the guard's arm where the armor plates met. The guard made a strange sound, a wheeze of shock and pain. His arm went limp before he could react. Cole struck again, this time to the side of his neck. The guard collapsed. The whole thing took less than a second. The other guards hesitated. They had never seen anything like this. The human had not punched or kicked. He had simply touched their comrade, and their comrade had fallen. Cole stood in the center of the platform, his hands relaxed at his sides. I know your anatomy, he said to the remaining guards. I know where your nerve clusters are. I know which joints are weak. Under the council chamber remained frozen. No one moved. No one spoke. The 5 remaining Vithani guards stood in a circle around Marcus Cole, their claws raised but their bodies uncertain. On the ground lay their fallen comrade, unconscious but breathing. High Lord Keswick stared down from his throne. His yellow eyes burned with fury, but he did not give the order to attack. Something had changed in the room. The air itself felt different. Cole waited. He had learned patience in places most people could not imagine. He had once waited in complete stillness for 3 days, watching a target through the scope of a rifle. Compared to that, standing in a room full of angry aliens was easy. Finally, one of the guards moved, but he did not attack. He stepped back. Then another guard stepped back. One by one, they retreated from the platform until Cole stood alone in the center of the chamber. Keswick watched this happen. His claws dug into the arms of his throne, leaving deep scratches in the metal. Cowards, he hissed at his guards, you fear one human, the lead guard turned to face his lord. His voice was respectful but firm. My lord, I have served you for 60 years. I have killed hundreds of enemies in your name, but I have never seen anyone move like that. This human is not what he appears to be. Cole spoke before Kesix could respond. Your guard is wise, High Lord. He recognizes what I tried to tell you. Humanity did not survive on Earth by being weak. We did not cross the void of space by being foolish. And we did not send a helpless ambassador into a room full of people who want to kill him. He paused, letting his words sink in. I disabled your warrior without killing him. I could have killed him just as easily. I chose not to. This is the message I bring from Earth. We do not want war. We have had enough war among ourselves to last forever, but we will not be pushed around. We will not kneel. We will stand as equals, or we will stand as enemies. A voice spoke from the upper tiers of the chamber. I would hear more from this human. Everyone turned to look. The speaker was Ambassador Yenneith of the Core Valley. She was ancient even by the standards of her long-lived species. Her feathers had turned white with age and her eyes were cloudy, but her voice was strong. The council exists to maintain peace among the stars, Yenneith said, not to bully young species into submission. I move that we allow Ambassador Cole to continue his address without further interruption. Kesix turned his fury toward her. The Corvalli overstepped. This is a Vithani matter. This is a council matter, Yenneith replied calmly. The human came under diplomatic protection. Your guards attacked him. By our own laws, he had every right to defend himself, unless you wish to argue that the Vorthani are above our laws. It was a clever trap. Kesix could not admit that the Vorthani were above the law without turning the other species against him, but he also could not let this insult stand. Cole watched the exchange with interest. He had studied the politics of the council carefully. He knew that the Corvalli had long been uncomfortable with Vorthani dominance. They had simply never found a good opportunity to challenge it. He had just given them one. This is not over, Kesich said. His voice was low and dangerous. The summit will continue. But know this, human, you have made an enemy today. Cole inclined his head slightly. I came here hoping to make friends, High Lord, but I will accept whatever you offer. Kasich sat back in his throne. He waved one clawed hand dismissively. Continue your address. Say what you came to say, then leave. Cole turned to face the full council. The other delegates watched him with a mixture of fear and fascination. They had never seen anyone stand up to the Vithani before. They had certainly never seen anyone defeat their warriors with empty hands. On a delegate, Cole began. Humanity seeks only what every species in this chamber already has: recognition, respect, a voice in the decisions that affect our future. He began to walk slowly around the platform as he spoke. We know we are young. We know we are new to the galactic community, but we bring something that no other species has, where you bring the lessons of a death world. A murmur went through the chamber. The term death world was well known. It referred to planets where the environment was so hostile that life should not have been possible. Earth was one of only 3 known death worlds to produce intelligent life. On Earth, Cole continued, everything wants to kill you. The animals, the plants, the weather. even the ground beneath your feet. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, plagues, we have survived them all. We have survived ice ages and meteor strikes, we have survived ourselves. He stopped in the center of the platform. That is the key. You see, we almost destroyed ourselves many times. We created weapons that could end all life. On our planet, we used them. We burned our cities and poisoned our air and nearly made ourselves extinct, but we survived. We learned, we grew. His gray eyes swept across the chamber. The species before you is not the same species that almost destroyed itself. We are what came after. We are what evolved when humanity looked at its own capacity for violence and chose something else. We are what happens when a death world species decides to live. Ambassador Yenneith leaned forward in his seat. You speak of change, she said, but change is slow. Your species discovered faster than light travel only 15 years ago. How can you claim to have changed so much in such a short time? Cole smiled slightly. Ambassador, we did not change in 15 years, we changed in 300. The last great war on Earth was centuries ago. Since then we have built, we have learned, we have prepared. He raised one hand toward the ceiling. Right now as we speak, 17 human ships are holding position just outside the station's sensor range. They carry no weapons. They are scientific vessels, exploration ships, the tools of a species that wants to learn about the universe. His hand dropped, but make no mistake, those ships could be armed in days. The factories of Earth could produce a war fleet in months. We chose not to do this. We chose to come in peace, to offer friendship instead of threats. This is who we are now. Hi. Lord Kessex laughed harshly. Pretty words, but words are easy. You defeated one god with a trick. Do you think that makes you strong? Do you think that makes humanity a power to be respected? Cole turned to face him. I think, High Lord, that strength comes in many forms. Yes, I defeated your god. I could defeat many more, but that is not why Earth sent me. They sent me because I know when not to fight. That is the hardest skill. That is what makes humanity different. Kessex rose from his throne. His massive form blocked out the lights behind him. Different. You are weak. Your species is weak. You speak of choosing peace, but I think you had no choice. I think you are afraid. We are afraid, Cole agreed. We are afraid of what we could become. We are afraid of what we might do if we allow ourselves to become like you. The chamber went dead silent. Even Kessex seemed stunned by the directness of the insult. Like us, he growled. Like the Vorthani, Cole said. Like a species that uses fear to control others. Like a species that attacks an ambassador because he would not kneel. Like a species that mistakes cruelty for strength. He took a step toward the throne. I have studied your history, High Lord. I know what the Vorthane were before they joined the council. I know about the worlds you conquered, the species you enslaved, the atrocities you committed, and I know what you did to the Visari. A gasp went through the chamber. Several delegates looked away. Others stared at Cole with shock. The Visari were a species that no longer existed. They had challenged Vorthani dominance 2,000 years ago. That Vorthani had responded by destroying their home world and hunting the survivors to extinction. It was the darkest chapter in galactic history, and no one ever spoke of it. Cole continued. Without mercy, the Thasari were peaceful. They were artists and philosophers. They asked for nothing but the right to govern themselves. You killed them all, every last one, and you made sure every other species in the galaxy knew what would happen if they defied you. Kessix's claws flexed, his entire body trembled with rage. You dare speak of the Viseri, you dare judge us. I speak the truth, Cole said, and I judge no one. I only observe. The Vithani built their power on fear and blood, but fear fades, blood dries. What remains? He gestured at the other delegates. Look around you, High Lord. Look at your council. Do you see allies? Do you see friends? Or do you see species waiting for the moment when they can finally be free of you? Kessix's eyes swept across the chamber. For a moment something flickered in those yellow depths. It might have been doubt. Ambassador Yenneith spoke again. Ambassador Cole raises an interesting point. Perhaps it is time for the council to consider new approaches, new relationships, new balances of power. Other delegates began to murmur in agreement. The Mornathi representatives nodded their small gray heads. Even the Caraxian delegate, a species that had always supported the Vorten, looked thoughtful. Kessix saw his control slipping away. He saw centuries of dominance beginning to crumble because of one human in a gray suit. He could not allow this to happen. Enough, he said. His voice was ice. This summit is suspended until tomorrow. Ambassador Cole, you will be provided with quarters. I suggest you rest. Tomorrow we will continue this discussion. Cole bowed his head slightly. Thank you. The night cycle on the station brought artificial darkness to the corridors. Lights dimmed, traffic slowed. Most species retreated to their quarters to rest, but in a secure chamber deep within the Vorthani section, there was no rest. High Lord Kessix sat at the head of a long table made of black stone. Around him were gathered the most powerful figures in his alliance. There was Lord Vareth, his protocol master. There was Admiral Thorix, commander of the Vorthani fleet, and there were representatives from 4 other species who had tied their fate to Vorthani dominance. The Caraxians sent General Maz, a massive creature with 6 arms and skin like cracked earth. The Prolith sent Master Silix, a thin being who seemed to be made entirely of shadow. The Verax sent Commander Keth, whose body was covered in venomous spines, and the Dramati sent a silent figure whose name no one knew, a species of assassins who had served the Vorthani for centuries. Kessix looked at each of them. In turn, his yellow eyes were cold. You all saw what happened today, he said. You saw a human make fools of my guards. You saw him speak to the council as if he were our equal. You saw the core Valley and others begin to turn against us. Admiral Thra growled deep in his throat. Give me the order, my lord. I will destroy the human ships outside the station. I will send a fleet to burn their pathetic planet and start a war that will cost us half our empire. Kessix replied, no, the other species are already restless. If we attack humanity openly, they will use it as an excuse to rebel. We must be more careful. General Maz leaned forward, his 6 arms folded across his chest. Then what do you propose? We cannot let this insult stand. If word spreads that a single human defeated your gods, other species will grow bold. They will start to believe they can challenge us too. Word has already spread, Master Silix whispered. His voice was like wind through dead leaves. The station talks of nothing else. The human has become a symbol. Kessich slammed his fist on the Table, the stone cracked under the impact. We must destroy the symbol, but we must do it in a way that cannot be traced back to us. We must make it look like the humans started the conflict. Commander Keth nodded, his venomous spines rippling. An assassination make it look like the human attacked us first, then we can respond with full force and no one will question our actions. Exactly, Kesich said, but it must be done perfectly. The human is dangerous. He is not what he appears to be. We must overwhelm him with numbers. We must leave no chance for him to survive. He turned to the Dramati. Assassin, your people are the best killers in the galaxy. How many do you need? The Dramati was silent for a long moment. When it spoke, its voice was a strange clicking sound that the translation devices struggled to process. The human is skilled. I watched recordings of his fight with your guards. He knows pressure points and weak spots that even we do not know. He has studied us all. Then you are afraid? Kesix asked. There was danger in his voice. We are cautious, the Dramati replied, but we can be overwhelmed by numbers just like any creature. Give me 30 of my best assassins supported by warriors from each of your species. We will strike during the ceremonial dinner. Tomorrow night we will kill the human and his aide, then we will claim they drew weapons first. Kesix nodded. Slowly, good, make your preparations. I want no mistakes. The conspirators began to discuss details, who would strike first, where the assassins would hide, how they would plant false evidence. They talked for hours, planning every step of the murder. None of them noticed the tiny device attached to the underside of the table. It was smaller than a grain of sand, invisible to the naked eye. It had been placed there weeks ago by a human intelligence operative who had posed as a maintenance worker. The device transmitted everything they said to a receiver hidden in Marcus Cole's quarters. Cole sat in darkness listening. His eyes were closed, but his mind was working. He heard every word of their plan. He mapped their movements in his head. He calculated angles and distances and probabilities. When the transmission ended, he opened his eyes. Lieutenant Chen stood by the window, her face pale. In the starlight, sir, we have to leave. We have to get off this station. Cole shook his head. If we run, it proves we are weak. It proves everything Kesix said about humanity. We cannot run. Then what do? There are 30 assassins, the best killers in the galaxy. Even you can't fight 30 people at once. Cole stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. No, he said quietly, I probably cannot, but I have to try. Chen grabbed his arm. Sir, this is insane. Earth needs you alive. The mission needs you alive. If you die here, everything we've worked for is lost. Cole turned to face her. For a moment his mask slipped. She saw something in his gray eyes that she had never seen before. It was pain, old pain, buried deep. Lieutenant, do you know why I became a diplomat? Chen shook her head. I spent 30 years killing people. I was very good at it, the best, some said. I served in operations that will never be declassified. I eliminated threats to Earth that most people will never know existed, and every kill took a piece of me. He walked to a chair and sat down heavily. When I retired, I thought I was done. I thought I could find peace, but Earth needed someone for this mission, someone who understood violence, someone who could walk into a room full of predators and not be afraid. There was no one else. Chen sat across from him, but why you? There must be other operatives, other soldiers. There are, but they are killers, that is all they know. This mission required something different. It required someone who could kill but would choose not to. Someone who could show these aliens that humanity is more than just another violent species. He looked at her with tired eyes. If I run from this fight, I prove Keswick's right. I prove that humans are weak, that we can be bullied and intimidated. But if I stand and fight, even if I lose, I prove something else. I prove that we will never back down. I prove that challenging humanity comes with a cost. Chin was silent for a long moment. What do you need me to do? Cole smiled slightly. Stay safe. Whatever happens tomorrow night, you must survive. You must return to Earth and tell them what happened here. Let them know that I did not run. Let them know that I stood. Sir, I won't just hide. While you fight, I'm a soldier too. You are a soldier, but you are also a witness. The galaxy needs to know the truth of what happens here, not the Vorthani version. The truth. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. This is a recording unit. It will capture everything that happens tomorrow night. When it is over, take it and leave. Get to one of our ships. Get back to Earth. Chin took the device. Her hands were shaking. You sound like you're saying goodbye. I am preparing for all possibilities. That is what I was trained to do. Cole stood up and walked to the door. Now get some rest. Tomorrow will be a long day. He stepped out into the corridor. The council guards watched him but said nothing. He walked past them without acknowledging their presence. The station was quiet in the night cycle. Cole walked through empty corridors, past closed shops and dark windows. His footsteps echoed on the metal floor. He found himself in a small observation deck, a bubble of glass that looked out at the stars. He stood there for a long time, watching the universe spin slowly past. Somewhere in that darkness was Earth, his home, the place he had spent his life protecting. Tomorrow he might die for it. He had always known this was possible. He had made peace with it long ago, but he was not planning to die. He closed his eyes and began to rehearse. In his mind, he walked through the ceremonial hall where the dinner would be held. He placed the assassins in their likely positions. He calculated their attack patterns, their weak points, their limitations. 30 killers, the best in the galaxy. He had faced worse odds before, not often, but he had survived. He had always survived. The question was whether surviving would be enough. He did not just need to live through tomorrow night. He needed to send a message. He needed to show the galaxy what humanity really was. He needed to win. When dawn came to the station, artificial light slowly filling the corridors, Cole was still standing at the observation window. He had not slept. He did not need sleep. His body had been trained to function for days without rest. He watched the station come alive, ships arriving in, departing, aliens of every species going about their business. They did not know what was coming. They did not know that the galaxy was about to change. His communicator buzzed. A message from Ambassador Yeneth. Ambassador Cole, I request a private meeting before the dinner tonight. There are things we must discuss. Cole considered the message. Yeneth had supported him in the council chamber. She had spoken against Keswick. Either she was a potential ally, or she was part of the trap. There was only one way to find out. He replied With a single word, agreed. Then he returned to his quarters to prepare. He had a long day ahead and an even longer night. But when the sun rose again on the station, everything would be different one way or another. The galaxy would know the truth about humanity. That Marcus Cole would make sure they never forgot. Ambassador Yenith's quarters were in the oldest part of the station. The Corvalli had been members of the council since its founding, and their section showed that history in every detail. The walls were carved with ancient symbols. The floors were worn smooth by countless feet. The air smelled of incense and old paper. Cole walked through the entrance with his hands visible at his sides. 2 Core Valley guards watched him but did not challenge him. Yenith had clearly given orders to let him pass. He found her in a garden room. Real plants grew here, a luxury on a space station. She sat among them on a cushion of woven grass, her white feathers bright against the green leaves. Ambassador Cole, she said. Thank you for coming. Cole bowed his head slightly. Thank you for inviting me. I was curious what you wished to discuss. Yeneth gestured to a cushion across from her. Please sit. We have much to talk about in little time. Cole sat. The cushion was surprisingly comfortable. He kept his body relaxed, but his eyes never stopped moving. He watched the doors. He watched the shadows. He watched Yeneth herself. You do not trust me, Yeneth observed. I trust no one on this station, Cole replied. That is nothing personal. Yeneth made a sound that might have been a laugh. Why is in your position, I would do the same, but I hope to earn a small amount of your trust today. What I am about to tell you could cost me everything. She leaned forward, her cloudy eyes suddenly sharp. Kessex is planning to kill you tonight. Cole did not react. His face remained perfectly still. I know, he said. Yeneth blinked. Of all the responses she had expected, this was not one of them. How? We have been watching the council for longer than you realize. We have resources that the Vorani do not suspect. I know about the conspiracy. I know about the 30 assassins. I know they plan to strike during the ceremonial dinner. Yeneth sat back for a long moment. She said nothing. Then why are you still here? Why have you not fled? Because running would accomplish nothing. Humanity did not come to this station to run. We came to take our place in the galaxy. If that means fighting, we will fight against 30 of the best assassins in the galaxy. That is not fighting, that is suicide. Cole smiled slightly. Perhaps, but it is my choice to make. Yeneth studied him with those ancient eyes. You are not what I expected, Ambassador. When I heard that Earth was sending a diplomat, I expected a politician, someone soft, someone who would kneel and beg and hope for mercy. Earth has politicians, Cole said. We did not send one. No, you sent a warrior in a diplomat's clothing, blade hidden in a sheath of words. She paused. I watched the recordings of your fight with the Vorthani guards. My analysts studied them for hours. They could not explain what they saw. You moved in ways that should not be possible for your species. Humans are capable of many things that should not be possible. Our entire history is a story of doing the impossible. Yeneth nodded slowly. I believe that I have studied your species since first contact. Your history is terrifying. The wars, the weapons, the capacity for destruction, but also the capacity for creation, for beauty, for growth. You are a species of contradictions. We are A species that learned from its mistakes. Cole said we had to. The alternative was extinction. Jenith rose. From a cushion, she walked to a window that looked out at the stars, the core valley. Our old ambassador, we were building starships when most species in this council were still learning to use fire. We have seen empires rise and fall. We have seen species destroy themselves and others. We have seen it all. She turned to face him. And we are tired of the Vorthani, tired of their cruelty, tired of watching them crush every species that dares to challenge their dominance. For 3,000 years we have kept silent. We have watched and waited. We have told ourselves that the time was not right. Her voice grew harder, but there is never a right time. There is only the time you choose, and today I choose to stand with humanity. Cole rose to his feet. What are you offering? Information, support, and alliance. If you will have it, the Corvalli will not fight the Vorthani openly. Not yet, but we can help you survive tonight. We can help you send your message. Yenneith walked to a cabinet against the wall. She opened it and removed a small case. This is a Corvalli neural disruptor. It is designed to incapacitate without killing. It will work on any species, including the Drady. The assassins will not expect you to have such technology. She handed the case to Cole. He opened it and examined the device inside. It was elegant, a slender rod made of silvery metal. There is something else, Yenneith continued. I have arranged for the station's security systems to malfunction during the dinner. Not enough to raise suspicion, but enough to create confusion. The Thane will blame technical problems. You will know the truth. Cole looked at her. Why are you doing this? What do the Corvalli gain from helping humanity? Yenneith met his gaze without flinching. We gain hope. For 3,000 years we have watched the Vorthani dominate through fear. We have watched them crush species after species. After species, we have wondered if anyone would ever stand against them. Today a human stood against them alone, with nothing but his hands and his words. And he did not fall. She placed one feathered hand on his arm. That matters. Ambassador, that matters more than you. No other species are watching. They saw what you did in the council chamber. They are asking themselves if they could do the same. You have planted a seed. Tonight you must help it grow. Cole was silent for a long moment. And if I fail, if I die, then you die a hero, and your death will spark a revolution. But I do not think you will fail. I have lived long enough to recognize death when I see it. And you, Ambassador Cole, you carry death with you like an old friend. Cole closed the case and tucked it into his suit. Thank you, Ambassador. Yet I will not forget this. Survive tonight and thank me later. Now go. You have preparations to make, and I have my own moves to arrange. Cole bowed formally, a gesture of deep respect. Then he turned and left the garden room. As he walked through the corridors, his mind was working. Yenneith's help changed the equation. The neural disruptor gave him a tool he had not had before. The security malfunction would create chaos. And most importantly, he now knew that he had allies. The Corvalli were watching. Other species were watching. Tonight was not just about survival. It was about sending a message that would echo through the galaxy. He returned to his quarters. Chen was waiting for him, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. Sir, where have you been? I was worried. Meeting with a friend, Cole said. He showed her the neural disruptor. We have new resources. Chen examined the device with wide eyes. Corvally Tech, how did you get this? Ambassador, why she has chosen to support us? Can we trust her? We have no choice. But I believe she is sincere. The Corvalli have suffered under Vorthani dominance for too long. They are ready for change. Cole walked to the window and looked out at the station. Tonight, we give them that change. Tonight we show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Chen moved to stand beside him. Sir, I've been thinking about what you said last night about being a witness. Yes, I understand why you want me to survive. I understand the importance of the mission, but I'm not going to just hide. While you fight, I'm a soldier. I swear an oath to protect Earth and its representatives. That includes you. Cole turned to look at her. Lieutenant, this is not a request. This is an order. With respect, sir, I am refusing that order. They stared at each other for a long moment, then slowly Cole smiled. You remind me of myself when I was young. Stubborn, brave, foolish. I learned from the best, sir. Cole reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object. It was a pin, the kind worn by members of Earth's elite forces, 2 crossed swords over a globe. This was given to me when I completed my training 30 years ago. I have carried it ever since. It has been with me through every mission, every battle, every moment when I thought I might not survive. He pressed the pin into Chun's hand. Tonight you carry it. If I fall, you carry it back to Earth. You tell them who I was. You tell them what we stood for. You make sure that Galaxy knows. Chen looked at the pin, then at Cole. Her eyes were bright with tears. Yes, sir. Cole nodded. Now let us prepare. We have a dinner to attend. Outside the window, the station continued its endless rotation. Ships came and went. Aliens went about their business. The universe continued as it always had, but tonight everything would change. Tonight a human would face the best killers in the galaxy. Tonight the galaxy would learn why Earth was called a death world. And tonight Marcus Cole would show them what it meant to be human. That ceremonial hall was a masterpiece of galactic architecture. Crystal columns rose toward a ceiling painted with stars. Tables of polished stone held food from 100 worlds. Representatives from every council species mingled and talked, their voices creating a constant hum of conversation. Marcus Cole stood near the entrance, wearing the same gray suit he had worn since arriving. His hands were clasped behind his back. His face was calm. No one looking at him would guess that he knew 30 assassins were hidden in this room, waiting for the signal to kill him. Lieutenant Chen stood beside him. She wore her dress uniform, crisp and perfect. The pin Cole had given her was hidden beneath her collar, close to her heart. Close to her heart. High Lord Keswick sat at the head table, watching them. His yellow eyes never left Cole. He was waiting, enjoying the moment. He believed he held all the power. Cole let him believe it. Ambassador Yenneith approached them. Her white feathers gleamed in the soft light. Ambassador Cole, you honor us with your presence. Cole bowed his head. The honor is mine. Ambassador, this is a beautiful hall. It has stood for 8,000 years. Many historic moments have occurred within these walls. She paused meaningfully. I suspect tonight will add another. She moved away, disappearing into the crowd. Cole watched her go. She would play her part when the time came. A gong sounded, calling the delegates to their seats. Cole and Chen were guided to a table near the center of the room. It was a position of honor, they were told. Cole knew it was really a position of exposure. He was surrounded on all sides. When the assassin struck, he would have nowhere to run. He did not plan to run. The dinner began. Course after course of alien food was served. Cole ate little. He watched. He counted the shadows that moved wrong. He identified the servers who watched him too closely. He mapped the positions of every potential threat. 23 assassins in the main hall. For near the exits, 3 hidden in the service corridors. The Dramati leader was positioned directly behind him, pretending to be a decoration on the wall. They were patient, disciplined. They did not make obvious moves. Neither did Cole. Kessex rose to speak. The room fell silent. Honored delegates, we gather tonight to celebrate the traditions of the Council. For thousands of years we have maintained peace and order among the stars. We have guided younger species toward enlightenment. We have protected the galaxy from chaos. His eyes found Cole. Some would challenge this order. Some would claim that our traditions are outdated, that new species deserve equal standing without earning it, that humans who have existed for a mere heartbeat should stand beside races that have guided the stars for millennia. A murmur went through the room. Some delegates nodded, others looked uncomfortable. Tonight we will address this challenge. Tonight we will show the galaxy how the Council responds to those who would disrupt the natural order. It was the signal. The lights flickered just for a moment, barely noticeable, but Cole noticed Yeneth's distraction was beginning. The Dramati assassin moved. First, it came off the wall like a shadow gaining substance. Its blade was already extended toward Cole's neck. Cole was not there. He had dropped to the floor the instant the lights flickered. The blade passed through the space where his head had been before the assassin could adjust. Cole's hand shot up. He drove the neural disruptor into the Drethi's chest. There was a flash of light and the assassin collapsed. The room erupted into chaos. Assassins emerged from everywhere. They came from the walls, from under tables, from among the servers. 29 killers converging on one human. Cole moved like water. He flowed between attacks, never where they expected him to be. Neural disruptor flashed again and again, dropping assassins with each strike, but there were too many. Even with Corville technology, even with decades of training, he could not stop them all. A Varic blade caught his arm. Pain flared hot and sharp. Blood stained his gray suit. A Caraxian fist slammed into his back, driving him forward. He rolled with the impact. Came up fighting, disabled 2 more assassins. Chen was fighting too. She had drawn her ceremonial sidearm and was using it to create distance. The weapon did little damage, but it forced the assassins to take cover, buying precious seconds. The lights flickered again. This time they went out completely. In the darkness, Cole heard screams. He heard bodies falling. He heard the sounds of combat that had nothing to do with him. When the lights returned, half the remaining assassins were down. Standing among them were Corville security officers, their own neural weapons still glowing. Yeneth had not just provided a distraction, she had provided reinforcements. The surviving assassins looked around in confusion. Their numbers had been cut in half. Their element of surprise was gone, and the human they had come to kill was still standing. Cole stood in the center of the carnage, blood dripping from his wounded arm. His suit was torn, his face was bruised, but his eyes were clear and calm enough, he said. His voice was not loud, but it carried through the silent hall. You came to kill me. You failed. Now you have a choice: surrender or continue fighting. I do not want to kill you, but I will if I must. The assassins hesitated. They looked at each other. They looked at their foreign comrades. They looked at the Corvalli officers surrounding them. One by one, they dropped their weapons. Cole turned to face Kess. The High Lord had not moved from his position. His yellow eyes were wide with something that might have been fear. High Lord Kessex, Cole said, I know you ordered this attack. I have recordings of your conspiracy. I have evidence of every delegate who participated in this assassination attempt. He began walking toward the high table. No one tried to stop him. You could have had peace. Humanity offered you friendship. We offered to join the council as partners to work together for the good of all species. You chose war instead. He stopped at the foot of Kessex's throne. But I am not here for war. I am here to deliver a message. Kessex finally spoke. His voice was rough, uncertain. What message? The message is this: humanity will not be bullied. We will not be intimidated. We will not kneel, but we will also not become like you. We will not rule through fear. We will not crush those who challenge us. He looked around the room at the watching delegates. Tonight, 30 of the best assassins in the galaxy tried to kill one human. They failed. Not because I am stronger than them, not because I am faster. They failed because I was prepared. Because humanity has learned through centuries of conflict that preparation matters more than strength, that knowing your enemy matters more than overwhelming force. He turned back to Kessex. I could kill you now, High Lord. I could end the Borthani dominance in a single moment. My training, my experience, everything I know tells me that would be the most efficient solution. His gray eyes met Kessex's yellow ones. But I choose not to, because that is not who humanity is anymore. We are not the species that destroyed cities with nuclear fire. We are not the species that nearly ended ourselves through hatred and fear. We are what came after. We are what survived. He held out his hand toward Kessex. This is my offer, High Lord. Not surrender, not submission. Partnership. True partnership between equals. The council can continue to exist. Vorthani can continue to lead, but the old ways must end. No more crushing younger species. No more ruling through fear. A new order built on respect. The hall was completely silent. Every delegate watched. Every eye was fixed on this moment. Kessex stared at Cole's outstretched hand. His claws twitched. His jaw worked. Years of dominance weared with the reality before him. He had been defeated not by a fleet or an army, but by a single human in a torn suit, and that human was offering him a way out, a chance to save face, a path forward that did not end in destruction. Slowly, hesitantly, Kessex reached out. His massive clawed hand engulfed Cole's small human one. Partnership, he said. The word sounded strange in his mouth. Cole nodded. Partnership, Ambassador. Yenneith stepped forward. Her voice rang through the hall. The Corvalli moved that humanity be granted full membership in the Galactic Council. We further move that the Council Charter be amended to ensure equal treatment for all member species regardless of age or power. Other delegates began to voice their support. The Marine Thasari descendants who had survived in hiding, even some of the species who had allied with the Vorthane. The motion passed. Chen appeared at Cole's side. Her uniform was stained with blood, some of it her own. But she was smiling. "We did it, sir." Cole looked around the hall at the defeated assassins, at the changing alliance, at the first steps of a new galactic order. "No," he said. "We started something. The real work begins now." He looked out the windows at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth home, the planet that had forged him into what he was. He had come to this station as a message, a demonstration of what humanity could do, but he realized now that the message was not about violence. It was not about the ability to kill. It was about the choice not to. That was what made humanity dangerous, not their weapons, not their soldiers, their capacity for change, their ability to look at their own darkness and choose something else. Kessex had called him death in a suit. He was not wrong. Cole carried death with him everywhere he went. He had dealt death more times than he could count, but tonight, surrounded by fallen enemies and new allies, he had chosen life. That was the message. T.